the Fade 5 podcast with Brad Evans and Nate Lundy.
Place your bets, yes, Jack Wagons. Brad the Big Noise Evans here, joined by the good son, Nathaniel Lundy. 'Tis indeed the Fade 5 podcast, and we are riding high after a very profitable Thursday night football, which never really occurs on this broadcast. So hopefully we're going to carry that momentum into the main slate of games, but hopefully we're going to start off on the right foot on Saturday with a little college cash. There's only one game on Friday night. I do have a pick on that. You can check it out on the spreadsheet on the X, where I'm always going to give it to you at Noisy Huevo. So if you're really itching for some Charlotte, Florida Atlantic sides, totals, SGPs, by all means, reference that resource. You're a sicko like I am if you're actually gambling on that. But we are going to hopefully make some money on the main slate of offerings on a college football Saturday. Lundy, I will actually lead it off, and I'll let you bat second. I'm going to go with Arizona State, man. I say forks up, and I think they're going to pitchfork Washington State right in the derriere. I'm going to take the +6 at -110 at MGM. Some of the books, this is already starting to sway in Washington State's direction. Arizona State down to +5.5. I would play this down to like +3.5. Hell, I may even sprinkle a little bit of action on ASU on the money line. Yeah, that's right, a one-win team. But here is the key in this game. It's all about the Sun Devils defense, which has been spectacular the last 3 games. They've emerged on the wrong side of the ledger, but against Colorado, against Cal, against Washington, who is in the national title hunt, they lost those 3 games by a combined 14 points. That is it. So they played a lot of nip and tuck, and unfortunately haven't gotten over the hump, but that could be a different story down in Tempe on Saturday on the late night tip. Wazoo, rather uneventful here of late offensively, and the passing is the name of their game. And Arizona State is an exceptional pass defense and overall defense, number 10 in the nation in EPA per play defense. Washington State, meanwhile, struggling stopping the opposition, number 63 in EPA total defense. So in a game, I think it's going to come down to the waning moments. ASU is going to get the potential victory, but all I need is a cover at +6 against Wazoo. Lundy, make me some college cash. What do you like on Saturday?
Let's stay in the Pac-12, shall we? Let's go to the SLC, Rice-Eccles Stadium. Give me Oregon and Utah. Put together an SGP for you in this one. Oh, it's so beautiful at plus odds. Give me Utah on the alt spread up to 11.5.
That's Utah State, correct?
No, Utah.
Oh, you're taking Utah. You're taking the Utes.
I'm taking the Utes up to 11.5.
Okay.
Utah up to 11.5. Follow along with me here, Brad.
Hey, man, I had too much tequila last night, so my brain's a little cloudy.
Why? Hold on a minute. Time out. Why do you think the Ducks are playing?
I thought for some reason you said Rice, but that's like the name of the stadium? Is that correct?
Brad, Rice-Eccles Stadium. Rice-Eccles Stadium. I know that you know I know you know every college basketball arena on the planet.
I do.
Rice-Eccles Stadium is where the Utes play, Brad.
Oh, okay. Lesson learned. Carry on, good sir.
Good God. See the shirt here? Sports and alcohol. That's Brad right now.
Yeah.
We are going to the Pac-12. Utah hosting Oregon. I am taking Utah up to +11.5. And I am taking the total down to 42.5 and then playing the over on that one. Folks, that is essentially a 5-point teaser in each direction. The standard line is Utah +6.5. The standard total right now is at 47.5. So I'm popping the spread up for Utah. I'm taking the total down and playing the over. If you put those two together at DraftKings, you are sitting on a sexy +114 in this one. It's got a 3:30 Eastern time kickoff, so it is a day game. Even as Oregon's schedule has started to get a little bit more difficult, their offense is still clicking. They're still putting points up. So despite the fact that they're on the road, they're not at Autzen Stadium, I do believe Oregon can continue to score. Remember, both of these teams are essentially holding their own destiny right now after what Utah was able to do last week, what Oregon is doing right now. So you just kind of look at what's happening. These teams have the opportunity to continue to play their way into the Pac-12 championship. So I think that's a lot of motivation for the Utes, obviously coming off of what happened last weekend. So again, Utah plus 11.5 and over 42.5 on both of those alt lines, plus 114 at DK. And I don't know, Brad, let me go look and see who Utah State's playing.
I don't really know off the top of my head, but I got some early bonus time. I did a little bit differently on my SGP in that game. I got Utah plus 10.5, and I took the line up to 56.5 on that total and hit the under. And at BetMGM, that's even juice at plus 100.
All right. I'm okay with that one because we can squeeze it and we both wind up coming out okay. I think the Utes are gonna look good, and I think Utah has the potential. I don't know if they're gonna pull off the upset or not, but being at home leans a lot in their favor.
Yeah, number 2 in the country are the Utes. An EPA per play defense. Have been shutting teams down at Oregon. Outstanding in that own right as well. So maybe not as many points as some think on the board. And I should know where Utah plays. My nephew attends the University of Utah. Shout out to Devin Stuland. And with that, let's get after it with another edition of the Fade 5.
Number 5.
All right, numero cinco here on the countdown on this Freaky Friday. Devonta Smith. I'm going to take Devontae's swing on the over 21.5 yards for the longest catch against the Washington Commanders. It's a minus 110 juice right now at tape time available at DraftKings Sportsbook. I know what you're thinking. Well, why don't you just take the over on A.J. Brown longest catch? He absolutely torched the Commanders the first time they played earlier this season. Well, that number is sitting at 30.5. I think the real value here is with his tag team partner, that wide receiver core, and the former Alabama slammer, Devonta Smith, who also had a 37-yarder in week 4 against Washington. He's been over this total in 5 games this season, number 11 in total air yards, though number 9 in unrealized air yards. So he's been somewhat out of sync with Jalen Hurts, but I think they're going to be on the same page in this game. And you look at Washington, number 27 EPA pass defense, and he's going to get a lot of Ben St. Juste in coverage, who's given up a 13.4 yards per catch mark and 95 flat passer rating to his assignment. So very bland, mediocre, rather vanilla cornerback is St. Juste. So overall, Devonta Smith, give me the over 21.5 yards longest catch against the Washington Commanders, minus 110 at DraftKings. Lundy, fade or follow.
It's important to note that I actually rank number 1 in unrealized air yards.
Yeah, man. It's a 1A, 1B situation.
Right.
I have the speed of a corpulent uncle.
Well, and look, we could be doing Nerf football, and I would still be number 1 in unrealized air yards.
Yeah.
This is all about him getting on the same page. That's really what this is. If this can manage to click, and look, we said it when we were talking about the Thursday night game, right? We were talking about Dalton Kincaid, and we said, look, eventually something's got to give. And this dude's got to be able to find the end zone. So for me, when I look at Devonta Smith, we can talk about the unrealized air yards, all those things. If he can get on the same page, dude is such a speedster that he could crush this one. So I like the idea of this is a little bit of a dice roll, but I like the idea of him getting it done, especially at home against Washington.
Cue the Casey and JoJo. It's a reference to Jodeci if you don't know who Devontae Swing is. But Devonta Smith is going to get it done. Yards, longest catch.
Number 4.
Numero cuatro here on the Fade 5 countdown. Let's work in a little plus money offering on an anytime touchdown. I say Damian Pierce penetrates the end zone, plus 120. Available there at BetMGM. And yeah, I'll work the shoulders and get seduced by that juice. It's all about maximizing the matchup. The Carolina Panthers are absolutely clawless in pretty much every single defensive category, especially defending the run, where they are dead last in rush EPA defense. Give it up. 5.30 yards per carry to the running back position, and they have also allowed 13 combined touchdowns to RBs. I know Damian Pierce splitting action with Devin Singletary. He's largely been a fantasy football disappointment this year, but he still getting 66.9% of the opportunity share. That's 16.2 rush attempts per game. He is also number 13 in total red zone touches with 18 in total, and of those 18, 5 have come at the goal line. So in a game in which I believe Houston and CJ Stroud, loud, proud to get down with Stroud, are going to be able to freely and easily move the chains, you could have an opportunity or 3 for Dameon Pierce to punch one in for 6. And given the matchup, which is absolutely glorious, I believe that happens. So Lundy, Dameon Pierce, anytime touchdown against Carolina, plus 120 at BetMGM. Fade or follow?
I will follow here because I am desperate for Pierce to do something, anything, anything remotely resembling points for my fantasy team. So I'm a little skewed on this one, slightly on tilt. You know what I'm talking about? Because I really need some help. And hey, it worked with Dalton Kincaid last night.
Oh, hallelujah!
Yes, I told you I've had some shares in him for a while here in the fantasy season, and I was trying my best to exercise patience. And if you know me, you understand that patience, not so much my strong suit. So with that in mind, let's hope that my patience with Dameon Pierce will pay off.
Oh, ease Lundy's pain. Please, Dameon Pierce, penetrate the end zone.
Number 3.
Numero Trace here on the Fade at 5, a countdown. We're going to go kind of off the grid a little bit, and you got to do some digging to find some potential values in the player props market. And I say, wham, bam, and hopefully thank you to Cam, as in acres, and hopefully it's going to be green acres on the over 7.5 receiving yards. Yeah, that's a real prop. 7.5 receiving yards against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. It's going to be downright cold on Sunday in the northern latitudes, in your neck of the woods too there, Lundy. And the Rockies going to snow. I saw 3 to 6 inches in the greater Denver metro area on Saturday, and that you could have a couple of snowflakes flying in the Denver and Kansas City game. But with the late kickoff, much of that action is going to be out of the Centennial State. But still, Cam Akers, I love the over on 7.5 receiving yards, because you look at Green Bay, they've allowed 6.5 receptions per game and 42.8 receiving yards per game to the running back position. 11 dudes, 11 have gone for at least 8 receiving yards against them this season. And Cam Akers' role is starting to ramp up. He's eating more and more into the opportunity and snap share of Alexander Madison. He had a high as a member of the Minnesota Vikings, 44.8% snap percentage on the last game, and he ran 10 routes in that contest, and that upset victory against San Francisco. So I think it's going to be more of the same, nearly split right down the middle in terms of the workload, and he has done this in 2 of 4 games as a member of the Minnesota Vikings. So Cam Akers, over 7.5 receiving yards. This could be a single play payday in Green Bay, minus 110 at DraftKings. Lundy, fade or follow?
One and done. Oh, I love one and done. He's gonna.
My wife does not, by the way, for the record.
Really? Really?
Come on, that was a layup. You set me up for that.
It's a Friday, Brad. We're supposed to put people in a good mood. We're supposed to. I don't even. I now I'm at a loss. Now I'm at a loss for words. I'm gonna sit here and look. My wife's been gone for 4 days for a work thing. So like the house is a mess. Like we got to finish this podcast because I've absolutely trashed the house while she's been gone. I got to clean shit up, dude. So, sure. Cam Akers, one and done. Tell you what, 1 catch, 9 yards. Let's just call it right now. He's going to do it on 1 catch and we will be done.
Lundy, let me offer you a suggestion. Call Mr. Clean, let him do some pelvic thrusts in your living room, and everybody wins. Clean up the abode for the missus and clean up Cam Akers on this over receiving yards.
Number 2.
All right, numero dos here on the Fade 5 countdown. Let's go to that snowy Mile High City. And again, much of the snow is going to be out of the way. The sun could even peek out, but it's still going to be awfully chilly. High of only 25 expected on Sunday between the Broncos at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm going to go with a Mile High, My Little Pony. And Yeah, Denver. Yeah, Ciara. Yeah, we about to do it with the legs. Russell Wilson, give me the over. And the best line right now in the industry, and it's significantly lower than MGM and DraftKings and even Caesars, is at FanDuel. And the over on 16.5 rush yards is only minus 114. And I say take advantage. I play this number up to 19.5, to be honest, because I think he's going to run for at least 20 yards in this game. Russell Wilson's kind of getting back to what he used to do all the time, and that is being an opportunistic runner occasionally in game action. Remember, he had 31 ground yards against Kansas City at Arrowhead in week 6. He's been over this number consistently, 3 straight games, a matter of fact, and 4 or 7 times this season. He's averaging 3.3 rush attempts per game, 24.4 rush yards per game. But this is the most important fact that you need to note. Kansas City is number 2 in the National Football League in pocket pressure percentage. It's a lot of P's at 28.7%. They've allowed 3 quarterbacks, including Wilson, to go over this number, and they're giving up specifically 18.1 rush yards per game to the gunslinger position. So to pull it all together, Russell Wilson over 16.5 rushing yards against Kansas City, and quite chilly, mile high, minus 114 at FanDuel. Lundy, you got to warm me up? Fade or follow?
I'm going to follow on this one because Russ has had to do it because the offense is so anemic. So every now and then he's had to take off on his own. True story. Got family coming in to go to this game on Sunday. Really disappointed that the family didn't want to come in against the Packers when it was 75,
right.
And instead decided to come into town when it's going to be 25. The other hilarious part about what's happening on Sunday is on Monday of this week, the high was forecasted to be 38 with like a dusting of snow. And just every day that has passed this week, it has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And I actually am a total wimp when it comes to the cold. I can handle the heat. I can handle the humidity. You put me in the cold and I turn into a whiny 3-year-old. So this is going to be pretty interesting on Sunday as I literally freeze my jewels off. Take this prop for Russ. And I will tell you right now, if you're looking to parlay it, if you're looking to make a same game parlay out of this one, take him for the 15 plus or whatever alt line they will give you, because he will scramble and he will get this done. If I remember correctly, last weekend his over under was at 19.5.
Yep.
He had a 21-yard run. He did it. It was a one and done prop for him. So do it again this weekend because he's going to do it based on how this offense is. He's going to have to.
Lundy, tape a couple of hand warmers to the inner thigh, and you'll thank me later. Layer up, my friend. Go, Russell Wilson, go!
Number 1.
All right, numero uno here on the Fade 5. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Breaking out the sledgehammer. I'm going to post this in written form as well on the X at Noisy Huevos. I've already written it. I'm probably going to get that up, that scrawling sometime on Saturday. And it's on Zay Flowers over. I grabbed at 54.5 receiving yards. It's up to 55.5 receiving yards in the Sonoran Desert, taking on the Arizona Cardinals. It is still way too low at a minus 115 juice there at BetMGM. Zippity doo-dah Zay. He is about to have himself quite the day. Oh, all kinds of rhymes, all kinds of bars here on the Fade 5 podcast against Zona. And the reason is simple. He's going to get Marco Wilson primarily in coverage. No DB is more generous than Wilson in terms of yardage allowed to the opposition this season. He's also given up 79.6 in terms of catch rate and a 132.3 passer rating. It is indeed the definition of mother of all matchups, and I think Flowers will take advantage. Arizona's collective has also allowed the most wide receiver yards to the opposition, 8.15 pass yards per attempt. And you look at Zay specifically, man, he's getting a lot of separation. He is so slick. He is so savvy as a route runner. Number 14 in average yards of separation per target as tracked by playerprofiler.com. He's getting a 28 flat percent target rate as well. So a healthy workload. And he has been over this prop in 5 games this year. What other evidence do you need? Zay Flowers Going to go off down there in the desert against Arizona. Give me the over 55.5 receiving yards, minus 115 at BetMGM. Lundy, my number one play of the day. Do you fade or do you follow?
Well, I'm going to follow just because I'm in a good mood. After Thursday, I gotta be honest, I'm in a good mood. Thursday night football.
Good.
Thursday night hockey was not so friendly to us. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But Thursday night football was nice to me. I feel like maybe, just maybe, it's going to be one of those good weekends in the NFL. So I'm going to follow. I'll take the over on the yards. There's actually quite a few receivers that I like for the over in their totals coming up this weekend. So Zay Flowers is definitely one of them. I had him jotted down long before we put together today's pod. So I definitely like this one. I think he's pushing 60.
Yeah, he's going to smell like a bouquet of roses. And, oh, can you smell that in the air, Lundy? I can. It's bonus time. Whether on the junior circuit, the senior circuit, maybe the NHL, the NBA on a Friday, I don't care. Pick your poison, my friend. What else you got on the betting board this weekend starting tonight?
Let's get to this evening. Yesterday was wild. In the NHL, there were 4 shutouts yesterday.
Wow.
4 shutouts, including the Avs losing 4-0 to Sydney. Not so much the kid Crosby, and they made the Avs look stupid last night. So yeah, shutout there. But when we're looking to the action for this evening, I will leave the college football game to you. I'll let you have some fun with that. But we do have 6 games on the ice for this evening, and I've got 3 different plays for you that we can do. First of all, screw you, Boston. People were tweeting at me last night about this one too. If you remember, yesterday we had Boston minus 1.5. Boston was winning 3-1 with less than 2 minutes to go and managed to lose in overtime.
Oh my goodness.
To Anaheim. What the fark was that? Anyway, I don't know what the hell happened there, but that just pissed me off. We're going right back to the well, though. 2 teams that I think are going to win it by at least 2 goals. Let's talk about Carolina. They're at home against San Jose. Both the Canes and the Sharks are on the second night of a back-to-back, but San Jose lost to Tampa last night 6-0. That's how bad the Sharks are. I told you we're picking on the Sharks all season long, so I'm going to pick on them again. Take Carolina minus 1.5. Package that together with the Vegas Golden Knights at home against Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks. I will lay the puck line with Vegas as well on the minus 1.5. You put those 2 together, plus 201 over at DK. One of the things I like to pay attention to on the goal in the first 10 is actually, 1, it's teams that lean into it, and 2, it's when we've got teams that are on a back-to-back, because you're talking about a backup goaltender, et cetera. So you're watching that one. I've got a couple of ways that you can play this one. Buffalo and New Jersey, yes, on the gift. That one is taking place just off the turnpike. And then package that one together with San Jose and Carolina that I was just talking about. Both of those teams on the second night of a back-to-back. So from a goaltender standpoint, I think something leaks through in the first 10 minutes. If you put both of those together on the yes gift, it is a plus 140 at DraftKings. And then if you want to get crazy with the Cheese Whiz, the other one that I like, oddly enough, because last year you didn't really want to do this with Minnesota, but I'm kind of feeling this one. Minnesota is on the road taking on the Caps. The Wild are on the second night of a back-to-back. They lost last night to Philly 6-2. And if you recall, that was an upset pick that I gave you. Philly was even money, and we took them, and they won with ease. If you add Minnesota and Washington on a yes gift to that same 2-leg that I just gave you, that bumps it up to a plus 290. So I would play that one. Just I'd sprinkle a small bet on there, because I do think we're going to see a goal in the first 10 in all 3 of those contests. Then, speaking of scoring, how about this one? Team total for you here. All right. On the ice, plus 141 is your payday. I need the aforementioned Carolina Hurricanes to put up at least 4 against San Jose. That should be a piece of cake. Give me Vegas to chalk 3 up against the Blackhawks, and give me the Devils to put 3 on the board against Buffalo. New Jersey for 3 or more, Vegas for 3 or more, Carolina for 4 or more. Put that one together. Again, team totals up to plus 141. I love tonight for the Rangers to have the lead at the end of the first 5. First 5 money line for the Rangers, though, but it is juiced to minus 175. So I am throwing that one out there for you. Pair it with whatever you want. Some other single leg that you like. put it together with that one. But if you look at what Eovaldi has done here in the postseason over the course of the first 5 innings and compare that to Gallen, it's night and day. Eovaldi has been shutting fools down the first 2 times through the order. And so I think Texas, this could be like 2-0. I mean, hell, it could be 1-0. But I think Texas is going to have the lead at the end of the first 5. But it's juiced to high heaven, so go pair it with something else. Take your pick. I don't care what you do. I just really like Texas on the first 5 for the money line. And then looking at a couple other, I told you I like a couple of guys in terms of their receiving props. Love Christian Kirk to go over. Brad, I saw it at 53.5, but I don't know if that's still where it is or not, or if it
came down to 52.5 in a couple of books. And most importantly, here's what you do. Take the over as well on receptions, which is just 4.5.
Yeah, I love Christian Kirk in this matchup against Pittsburgh coming up this weekend. Yes, I know it's on the road, but I still love him for that one. And who else was I talking about that I wanted to jump on from a receiving standpoint? Nico Collins.
Yes!
Give me Nico to go over as well in the matchup that he has on the road against Carolina, one of the early games. So Christian Kirk, play it however you want. You can play it solo. You can put it with receptions. You can make it part of an SGP. You can do whatever. And I like Nico Collins as well. 2 of my favorite receiver props for this weekend. I'll have more on the spreadsheet, but we're already rocking and rolling on today's pod. So I want to turn things over to you, Brad. Take it over.
Yeah, and I'll put a cherry on top of the sundae. Nico Collins, take it up in the alt line market to 70 or more yards at DraftKings plus 145. He's already done that a handful of times this year, and it's a sensational paper matchup against Dante Jackson, who's given up a 146.3 passer rating to his assignments in that Carolina secondary.
And honestly, I need some receiver love because right now Mike Evans and I are not on speaking terms because I needed that son of a bitch to get to 40, and he finished at 39. 39.
Brutal.
Folks, I missed out on not 1, but 2 same game parlays last night by that 1 stinking yard.
Yeah, and I got Stephon Diggs by 1 stinking yard, hitting 70 yards on the alt line threshold needed. So the opposite direction for me. Sorry, Lundy. That's why tequila was invented. Let's go to the Team Huevos parlay play of the day. And we're going to keep this to a simple 2-legger. Christian Kirk, again, Lundy and I, very symbiotic here. I took the over 4.5 receptions. I'm not going to give you really an additional insight other than just take advantage of Shandon Sullivan out of the slot, who's given up a 63.6 catch rate, 111.2 passer rate. His assignments. Kirk is going to be the apple of Trevor Lawrence's eye. And then on the late night tip, Sunday Night Football, give me DJ Moore over 4.5 receptions. Catch of the rock from Super Bajent, man. Tyson and Bajent in that game. Moore has done this in 5 of 6 contests this year. Doesn't matter who is under center. He's got to take advantage, especially against the LA Chargers, who are second to last in the NFL at EPA pass defense and number 31 as well in EPA per play defense. And he gets some Asante Samuel in coverage, who's allowed a 70% catch rate to his assignments. So Kirk over 4.5 catches. DJ Moore, same thing, over 4.5 catches. Oh, look at that juicy plus 218. Again on that simple 2-legger. Available there at DraftKings. All right, before we go back to some NFL action, I'm going to feature a couple of picks in the World Series. I'll just take the Rangers on the run line at plus 125 at BetMGM. I think they're going to win this sucker by 2 or more runs. They're the best offense in baseball. Zach Gallen has struggled mightily on the road in the regular season, 4+ ERA. In the postseason, in 12 innings pitched away from the desert, 7 earned runs. I think Texas a really good shot at scoring probably 6-7 runs tonight. The other side of this I like is a little SGP. I just see these guys to get a hit. Lourdes Gurriel to get a hit, and Marcus Semien to get a hit. Gurriel, 7 for 18 lifetime against Eovaldi. He's gotten a hit in 9 of 12 postseason games, and in the regular season, 2 for 6 against the Texas Rangers. Then meanwhile, Semien, 5 for 8 lifetime against Zach Gallen. Has really teed off against him. 7 of 12. He has gone over 7 of 12 games in the postseason. Yeah, he's only batting $192 with the postseason, but we just need a single and we're good. And he was 3 for 7 in the regular season against the Diamondbacks. So Gurriel gets a hit. Semien gets a hit plus 105. there at BetMGM. Let me give you an NBA play. Cade Cunningham, SGP, in a game in which could be the first 125 wins against the Charlotte Hornets. All Cunningham. I need 18 or more points, 5+ assists, 2 or more made threes. Those 3 events occur plus 110. And he did that in game numero uno of the season. It sounds like Charlotte is going to be an outstanding defensive club. And again, one of the more high possession teams in the league are the Hornets and to the Detroit Pistons, who Cade Cunningham represents. So I like that SGP quite a bit. All right, back to the NFL gridiron. Tyler Lockett, give me the under on 43.5 receiving yards against the Cleveland Browns. It's all about taking advantage of the matchup against Denzel Ward, who's only allowed a 50% catch rate to his assignments this season, under 12 yards per catch as well. Cleveland, number 1 EPA pass defense, and Lockett's been under this in 3 games this year. I don't think he escapes the 30s. In this matchup, number 72 yards per catch rank at 10.7 on the season, number 71 in YAC, and number 52 in ADOT. So not exactly stretching the field. So under on Tyler Lockett receiving yards. Isaiah Pacheco, or as Brandon Funson calls him, Pacheco, because he's certainly paying the bills on the over receiving yards in those snowy and cold conditions in Denver. It's, again, 15.5. That's it. That's all the number is. He is crushing this pretty much every single week. He's done it in 5 of 7 games. He's got at least 28 receiving yards in 4 of 7 games. Number 4 in yards per route run. He's averaging 11.2 routes run per game. But the Broncos are giving up 6.7 receptions per game and 55 flat receiving yards per game just to running backs. 11 RBs have got at least 16 receiving yards against them. Pacheco will add his name to the list. And last and certainly not least, Kyle Pitts. I'm taking the over on receiving yards at a very viable 33.5 against the Tennessee Titans. Look, you can't run on the Titans, but you can certainly throw on him. Desmond Ridder was going to have to work that, water pistol? It's not nowhere near a howitzer, but he's going to work the arm. So loosen and lather up, my friend. Pitts, 6.3 targets per game. He is number 1 among tight ends and deep ball targets. Number 1 in ADOT, average depth of target. Number 1 in total air yards. He's averaging 11.9 yards per catch. He's been over this prop in 5 of 7 games. Tennessee is giving up 45.8 receiving yards per game of the tight end position. I think he hits at least 40 in this matchup against the Titans. I'm out of breath. We are out of time here on the Feed 5 podcast. Skin Lundy, I'm telling you, inner thigh, brother. Just tape that hand warmer there, and your jewels will be nestled very nicely.
Oh yeah, but then when I go to take it off, it's Kelly Clarkson.
Well, yeah, there is that. Maybe you want to shave that area before you apply the hand warmer.
I'm not shaving.
I can come over and help you.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Drop us a rating and a review if you enjoy our shenanigans here on the Fade 5 podcast. It helps us out immensely. Also, fade or follow us. Follow Lundy on the X, where he's always giving it to you with a free spreadsheet. Picks all of his hockey action that he didn't utter here on the podcast. You can find on that device at Nate Lundy on that platform as well, at Noisy Cuevos. I do the same damn thing. For the wonderful Nathaniel Lundy, who is going to be oh so chilly here in just a matter of time. As always, fade or follow. That is up to you. Bartender, pour me a drink.